Hi, everyone. Sue Matsuki here for Nightlife Exchange, Sue's Muse. Today I have, and I'm going to read it because the accolades are just too much, artistic director of the Duplex, which is where we met originally way back in the day. And then you moved to being the program director for both the Laurie Beechman Theatre and then to 54 Below. Many of us remember you at Laurie Beechman, of course. You've been a Broadway investor. You're the CEO of Below Deck Entertainment. You're a Grammy nominee and an author. And now you're focusing on producing and executive producing this long series that's been playing at 54 Below called Sondheim Unplugged. Congratulations on the long run of that program. It's amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Phil Geoffrey Bond. Thank
Oh,
you
I
for
should have
joining
had
me.
an applause track ready or something. That was
Yay!
very nice, Sue.
I
Thank you
haven't
very
gotten
much.
that sophisticated yet, so but I'll just put here. I want to start right off with your muse, Sondheim. How did that come to be? Did you know him? Have you always appreciated his work? Because you were praising him and doing these shows way before his passing when everybody else jumped on board. Tell me about the beginnings of this series and how it came to be and why him.
Well, I'm a Sondheim fanatic from way back. Like a lot of us, I just grew up listening to those cast recordings over and over and over again. And, of course, there's nobody else like him. There's nobody who writes like him. There's no one who writes as thematically as him, his very unique approach to content versus style. I
The
was
wordsmithing is just genius.
the
Yeah,
intellect, but also the humor.
right.
So, when I was a kid, I would walk my dog listening to Into the Woods in my ear. And, I played Jack in a regional production and I've been a nut since I was a kid. So anyway, in 2010, when Sondheim was turning 80, I saw one of the big gala productions at Town Hall. And it was fabulous. It was hosted by Mia Farrow and my friend Michelle Park was in it. So she got me these great tickets and I just had a lovely time. And all of these concerts were happening, as about 15 years ago now. And I thought, well, I want to do something at the Beachman, but I don't want to, I can't do a big thing because it's the Beachman that seats 100. So I thought, well, let's just dial it all back and do something with a trio. It was only supposed to run for the month of July, like
Mhm.
sort of a summer filler thing on Sundays. And I decided to just get rid of the trio. Let's just do it with the piano. And it wasn't quite a hit out of the gate, but it quickly gained momentum. And we decided to expand another month, which became another month, which became another month. And lo and behold, here we are 15 years and three cast recordings later, still selling out. So,
Unbelievable. I
uh,
want to celebrate 15 years, people, 15 years of producing a product that's had audiences, huge response from the audience. But the fact that it's continuing for 15 years means that it's still a draw, that his work is still a draw, that your casts are still a draw. Tell me a little bit about your producer hat in the beginning. Who was it that you looked for initially? Was it for the voices? Was it for the tenure that they may have had with doing Sondheim's material? How did you cast these amazing shows?
well, something I've always, there's so much that I'm bad at, but there's one thing that I'm pretty good at, and that's matching a singer with a song.
Mhm.
And so I just made a list, which was enormous, of course, of songs that I thought, would make for varied shows. I need to produce four of them because that's what I bit off at the beginning. And then I started matching the singer with song, and a lot of people had some of their favorite Sondheim songs already in their canon and their book, so I was able to work those in, and that's kind of how it happened. Structuring an evening like this is like structuring any other show, of which you're very familiar.
Mhm.
Finding the right mix to fill that 60 to 75 minutes.
And the producing hat, I just did a column on Sue's Views about the protocol of being in a group show. As a producer, I spoke about a little bit about Don't Make Me Chase You and the criteria of being in a group show and, coming prepared. What are some of your quibbles with what would make you not book someone again? Let me ask it this way. What would make you not book someone again if they showed up for one of your shows? And what would it be that would say, I'm not working with this person again?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm very fortunate because we have about 70 people in the regular company who come
Oh,
and go.
wow, that's huge.
And so we're very lucky, and we have it down now. And I only want to work with people with whom I want to have lunch. It's sort of like my motto. So I haven't had any problems like that in many, many years, and I'm just lucky that way. Sometimes we bring in new people, but I've never had, they come referred to me or they call me up or whatever. And I've never had an issue, not at this stage of the game. Other group shows that I produced, yes, and God bless you for writing that column. Don't come late. Um, bring your sheet music. You wouldn't be surprised how many people just show up and don't bring it.
I
Um,
know. Yeah.
uh, do your very best to be accommodating because you know, I'm trying to coordinate sometimes 15 people in a 90-minute window.
Mhm.
So be early. Don't quibble with your sound check time. Not everybody can sound check right before the house opens. It's just the way it is, and I know everyone's doing it for free usually, and you know, in benefit situations like that. So you have to be willing to work with people to a certain extent, but you know, just be as flexible as you can and don't be an asshole.
Well, there's basically that would be my recommendation too. Just don't be an asshole. Show up on time, return my calls, whatever. And you know, I would consider putting you in another show in the future. In terms of the album, what made you decide to kind of do? You have 3 volumes of Sondheim Unplugged. Yes. And the third one just happened to have gotten a Grammy nomination. You went to the Grammys, right? How was that?
Good. I was very glamorous. I liked it a lot. I want to go back. It was, that
Maybe
was,
there's a fourth one.
well, no, there's not going to be a fourth one. But we are going into the studio in the fall with a new project that I'll be able to talk about pretty soon. But the Grammys were fun. I mean, first of all, that was ridiculous. I mean, I didn't even watch the nominations that morning because, you know, when we released the first one and I saw that we were up against Diana Ross, and I thought, well, this is just silly. They don't really have a category that fits us properly. So we're never going to get a Grammy nomination, but that's fine. We don't do this for Grammys. And I was shaving the morning the nominations came out, and it was Michael Kreuter at Yellow Sound Label, and I had shaving cream all over my face, you know. So I'm like, oh, I'll call him back. And then as I'm shaving, wait, wasn't that this morning? Wasn't Michael never calls me? Michael emails me. So I thought, why is he calling me? And so I get the shaving cream off my face, and I'm anxious to return the call. And then by that time, I was starting to get texts congratulating me on the Grammy nomination. I thought, what?
What?
So it was a crazy, crazy morning, and the Grammy people were awfully nice. And now I'm a member of the Recording Academy, and I can vote for the Grammys. And gosh, I spent a month picking out shoes, but now I
I
have these.
saw the recent picture on Facebook of the new
Oh yeah,
boots. Those are fabulous. Yeah.
those are fabulous. So yeah, now I sort of the Grammys I have to blame for my new shoe fetish.
Tell me what you're going to be doing for Pride. Are you putting up a show at 54 for Pride? When are the
We
next couple
are.
shows?
We are. Last year we started Isn't It Queer? 54 or 54. Sondheim Unplugged celebrates Pride. And we have a cast of all LGBTQ plus performers. And it was a great success last year. So we were building this year, and we're already geez, we're more than half sold, which is really nice this far out, as you
It's
know.
incredible. Yeah. Well,
And now that we have the live stream, you know, people from all over the world are able to join. And, you know, we're trying to work on that because, you know, at 54, the live stream only live streams when it live streams.
mhm,
So people in China can't necessarily watch it because it's the middle of the night or whatever.
right.
Australia have a hard time. So we're trying to make it so it's good for a 24-hour window. So that's something that that's in the pipeline.
How many times I know that you brought this to Europe. You went to London with the show, right? Have you
You
only done that? Have you done it a couple times or?
done it a couple times. Were you a Crazy Cox? Did I read that?
I did. I played Crazy Cox. Great club. Great
Lovely
club.
little room. Yeah,
Yeah.
we played there twice. And then we played the first time we went, we were at the Hippodrome before the Hippodrome got Magic Mike. So Magic Mike's installed in the Hippodrome now, so we can't do it there anymore. But wow, what a great experience. First of all, great town. I love London. My father's British, so I love spending time there. I feel like I fit in there. And lovely audiences and lovely people. And we were there in February 2020 was our last time there. We got out just before COVID hit, and I
Mm.
remember being in my hotel room going like, oh gosh, that's terrible, but it's not going to come to America. And then I got on a plane and I got sick. I thought, oh, I'm one of those people who brought it back from Europe, probably. So I blame me.
Good. Let's blame him and not beat up all these old Chinese women. Okay, just saying. You know, I know that Sarah Rice, our beloved dear friend, Sarah Rice went with you to London. And I told you privately at her memorial that that meant the world to her to be picked to do that. And it was kind of a nice place for me to think about her, you know, the last part of her career doing so many of the Sondheim Unplugs. Tell me a little about having Sarah on the bill.
Well, I created the show largely because of Sarah.
I didn't know that. Oh,
Yeah. Well, you know, I had the idea to do it, and I thought, well, what's going to be the draw? We have to have original cast members, and I knew Sarah, and I loved just hanging out with Sarah. And I said, hey, will you come sing Greenfinch in the first one? And she was like, sure. And then she just sort of became a regular fixture because she was willing to do, you know, all of them whenever she was, you know, free. If she didn't have another gig or something like that, and occasionally she did, and that was fine. But she became a, you know, the fixture of the show, and it's thrilling because, you know, she's my friend. But
yeah.
then you stand on stage and you introduce her, and people just lose it because they are so thrilled, as I was the first time I met her. You know, it's living history standing right
It
there.
really is. Yeah.
So having her on stage with all of that long blonde, her signature trademark hair, and whether she was singing Greenfinch or something else, the audiences loved seeing her.
That voice.
With that voice especially, but it was so gracious. What was so great to watch in New York and in London was the people just swarming her after the show. You know, it was like that scene in Soap Dish when everyone crowds Sally Field at the mall. I don't know if you know that movie or not.
Yeah,
But
I
it's
do. Yeah.
like I forget sometimes that she's really a celebrity in Sondheimian circles, and it was really lovely to see that appreciated.
She, who else in the Sondheim world and that originated roles? Like, did you have Carrie? Who else have been on stage in your productions?
We've had it's all on the Sondheim Unplugged website at sondheimunplugged.com. There's a little link that says special guests. But
Great.
we've had Len Cariou, we've had Donna McKechnie, we've had Pamela Winslow, who created the role of Rapunzel. I don't think there's a single musical we haven't had somebody get, Terry Ralston from Company, the revivals certainly. It's at this point, it's like Mary Hunt from Follies, Mary Houdina Hunt.
Mhm.
Yeah, just so many people that I grew up listening to. When I was a kid, I would have this tape recorder next to my bed, and it flipped sides automatically because I grew up in the era of cassettes, even before.
Yes, you and me both.
And it would change sides automatically. So I remember going to sleep listening to A Little Night Music,
Mhm.
first act and then the second act, and then it would switch and the whole show would start over again. So I would listen to it 2 or 3 times drifting off to sleep, and I did that for every Sondheim show. So then to come to New York and get to just be in the same room with all of these great people, Chip Zien and Joanna Gleason, and people who will come and just talk about Sondheim and sing either the songs they created on stage or something entirely new. We were fortunate to have Victoria Mallory, who was the original Anne in Little Night Music before she passed, and that was incredible. And she took the stage with Len, and they sang "You Must Meet My Wife," which was so cool because Victoria
Awesome.
did the role of Anne, and then
You're
Len.
right. This is little pieces of history, current, living history walking on stage. That must be thrilling for you. In terms of, I just lost my train of thought, but in terms of future productions, where do you see this going in your 15th season, which starts in September of this year?
Well, I've always said as long as people keep coming, we'll keep doing it.
Mhm.
And fortunately enough, we have wonderful audiences. Many have whom come back again and again. And some people plan their New York vacations around us, which is really sweet. And there's this whole group from Signature Theater in Arlington who come down all the time. And then we continually expand the audience. One of the things that I decided I wanted to do when I stepped down last season was I wanted a new life breathed into it. Like I said, we have that 70-member company, but it's time that we embrace a little more diversity, and it's time that we, spread our wings out and see how far we can stretch this. So me stepping back and putting the day-to-day in the hands of my very capable producers has been a step in the right direction, I think. And I still get to oversee everything and do everything that I love. I'm just not on stage hosting it.
I got you. That's awesome. Did you meet Stephen Sondheim? Have you ever met him?
I met him several times. We exchanged letters for years, not a lot of them, but a few, ever since I was a kid. But I met him at 54. He came to see Joanna Gleason's show, and I was introduced to him by a mutual friend. And I said, thank you first of all for so much amazing music. I'm sure I spattered something stupid. And I said, I host this show here called Sondheim Unplugged. And he goes, Phil, I know. Because I know all about it. Thank
Aw.
you very much for doing it. I said,
Aw.
"Thank you for thanking me for doing it." Then he wouldn't take a picture with me. So I don't have a picture of me in Sondheim, but that's all right. But then during COVID, we talked a little bit via email and I want to say live chat. I think we live chatted once, just about the show and the recording. And I sent him the recording, and I got a thank you note from him for the recording. And 15 minutes later, the news broke that he died. 15 minutes after I got it in the mail. And so he said, "I look forward to listening to it." So I don't know if he ever listened to it or not, but that was just a surreal day, the day he died, because I literally got the letter, and 15 minutes later, I started getting texts.
Oh my, oh my. Yeah, there's a lot of stories about how interactive he was with a lot of people. So in closing down these few minutes that we've spent together, and thank you for doing this with me today, what's the best advice you've ever gotten from someone, either professionally or personally, that you've carried with you throughout?
Two things: show up, one, and don't be an asshole.
There you go, folks. So, Phil, I just want to put this up. At the end of this interview, when you come to watch it, I will have all the information on the upcoming shows. about this amazing product. Congratulations and thank you, my friend, from all of us for everything you've done throughout your career, starting way back at the Duplex and being the mensch that you are and producing these beautiful shows. We all appreciate it. We appreciate you. And everyone, please go see Sondheim Unplugged if you have not seen it. It is a brilliant product. Thanks so much.
Thank you too, and thank you for all that you do. I really appreciate you doing this and everything else that you've done throughout the many years.
Well, I'm just trying to help all of us promote as much as we can. And, you know, like Sarah Rice used to always say, we're all fighting over the same chicken bone. So we may as well be kind to each other and help each other out as much as we can. So on that happy note, we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us on Nightlife Exchange. Thank you, Philip.
Bye-bye.
Mime.